Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Saturday. Yay, it's Saturday. I love Saturdays. I am happy to be here today with you. We are January 25th, 2025, and we are here for our daily Bible reading as we read through the entire Bible in one year. We are using the Day by Day Kids Bible. It is written by Karen Henley, and it is an awesome version of the Bible. And I just know everybody following along so far is just loving it. So I'm so happy to hear that. I have taken my calendar out for today as I have read the entry for today, and I have put my sticker on. Look at that. That month is almost complete. Look at all those stickers. I bet your calendar looks just as awesome. We are getting ready to finish out the month. We have less than a week to go, and I will be getting next month's calendar posted onto the website for anybody looking ahead to print that calendar out at the end of next week, and that will be all ready for you. If for those of you who have not been with me from the very beginning, I want to let you know that that calendar is available for download on my website at inthefamilywaycoaching.com, and it's under the Read the Bible in 1 year. Then there's a submenu for January 2025 readings. There's another menu for afterthoughts videos, and soon we will be getting a February drop down so that we can have each month categorized, because that's a lot of entries, a lot of videos for just being on one page. So, whew, that's a lot. So thank you for joining me here today and so far this whole month. And whether you are finding me today on YouTube or whether you have visited on my site, whether you are listening via Zencaster, if you have found me on Spotify, or Facebook, or even TikTok. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I appreciate your audience. We have been going through the book of Exodus, and I wanted to share a little bit of my day with you yesterday. I like to do a little bit of that so that we are connecting and you see what God is doing in my life too, because I want it to be a source of encouragement as I share sometimes my achievements, not achievements, but my the awesome things that God is doing. And sometimes I also like to share my struggles. And I debated on putting this in like an afterthoughts video, but I thought, well, if I'm just really quick, then I can do it in our regular video. So um, I was really excited and happy that well, I guess that's not really it, but I don't know. I was happy that that Jeannie, that you shared with me a bit of your struggle in your comment section on YouTube, and so it really reminded me of John 15:2, where as we're talking about these personal applications and the faith building that God is doing with us in our reading of the Bible every day, and these opportunities that we see in the very situations that we can apply to our own lives. um, Sometimes the things that he is teaching us, I just want us to have a source of encouragement, is that uh, he is not just growing us, but he's pruning us to grow more fruit. And John 15:2 tells us that Jesus is the vine, and we can do nothing apart from him. So sometimes the things that we are learning, like peace, patience, and kindness, and the other fruits of the Spirit, sometimes we seem to struggle with those things. And what I have found in my own life is that when that is the case, oftentimes it's because I'm a little too far from Jesus, because he is the vine, and those specific things like peace and patience can only be found in him, because they are fruits of the Spirit. So if I don't have those fruits of the Spirit, it's because I'm not close enough to Him. So that can sound like a little bit of an insult to say, well, or a judgment to say, well, you're not walking closely with Jesus. But that's not the case. So John 15:2 tells us that those branches that are bearing fruit with Him on the vine are still pruned so that they can bear even more fruit. So I know for me, that was a really big blow to me when God taught me that in last year or the year before, because I'm a preventative maintenance person and I try to do the best that I can so that I don't have to be disciplined per se. Because I have a tendency to jump to the conclusion that if something that I'm experiencing at times um, is unpleasant, that I may not at first recognize this as just simply an opportunity for God to work good into it. My first thought sometimes is, well, is God disciplining me? What have I done? Did I, and of course you can always find things to convict your heart that you've not been doing well, right? Because we're not perfect. But that may be our enemy giving us discouragement. And so what God showed me was John 15:2. And that's that don't be discouraged because uh, I feel like what I had mentioned to Jeannie in my comment back is that I feel like uh, that the more mature I get, that even if I just barely step away from Jesus, it's like I have to be like right up on his lap all the time. I feel like he's keeping me on an ever shorter branch. I mistyped and said vine on my comment, but I meant branch because we are branches and he is the vine. And so you may say, well, I'm walking with Jesus. And it's like, that is so. And I feel like he's keeping me on a short leash, on a shorter branch. And and I said, well, I am doing my best. And that is so. And you can say, but I am bearing fruit. It's like, well, that is so. But he prunes, ouch, pruning hurts, even those branches that are bearing fruit because he wants us to bear even more fruit. So that can be kind of frustrating because I was trying to avoid having unpleasant spiritual things occurring in my life, so that I thought, well, if I just do my best and try to learn these lessons and of course I can't be perfect, but if I just always am striving to be the most perfect I can be, that I can avoid pruning essentially. And nope. So I just want us to be encouraged too that if you're finding yourself being pruned in anything, um, just know that that is also good. That God is um, giving you that attention. He is our gardener. God tends the vine, and so it's actually a good thing, even though it doesn't feel like it at the time. So, that being said, my application for that is that yesterday, I've just been feeling so encouraged lately, and I've just been feeling like, wow, God is just so amazing, and just been doing wonderful things, and I feel like, oh, I've been holding strong. And then yesterday, I just tanked. I was so frustrated. It just seemed like it was one thing after another, and I vigilantly struggled with everything that kept coming my way. And so I'm going to share a couple of those things with you, even though I'm now 8 minutes into the video, so that I can hopefully be a source of encouragement for you. And that I think God is pruning me because things like, you know, for me, it's forgiveness. And so we cannot learn things like patience or forgiveness unless we go through situations that cause us to need to be patient. And we cannot practice forgiveness unless people do us wrong. Ouch. I don't know about you, but that hurts me because one of the things we don't like to feel is that people are wronging us. Like Joseph was wronged, and we were so admiring of his ability to be forgiving of his brother and brothers and to see the good that God had in that. But gosh, in the moment, or even in the week or the day after, or even just the same day, when you feel like things are going in such a manner where somebody has wronged you or whatever it happens to be, I know that that was the case for me. I have a tendency to be very upset about that. And even in trying to remember Joseph's forgiveness or in Jesus' forgiveness, I have to actually apply that to myself and say, if I don't have people wronging me, in my opinion, then I cannot practice forgiveness. And that is something that I struggle with. So there you go. I'm putting that out there without taking up a whole bunch of time to explain all the different situations for that in depth. I will tell you first that my husband frustrated me. Raise your hand if you're a wife and you feel like your husband has wronged you in some way or frustrated you. Ah, I see a lot of hands out there. Um, so there we go. Um, and so I was really struggling with that. I'm happy to say that that situation is resolved. And then I had issues at work where I don't transition well when I have to do something different sometimes, um, and so I have a tendency again to feel like I'm being disciplined or that somebody's wronging me in this. But I what I've always told people in encouragement, and I was struggling to apply this yesterday. I kept telling myself over and over, but it was just hard to be in the moment and remember that I was right where God wanted me to be. It might not be where I wanted to be, but I was right exactly where I was supposed to be. And I was really struggling with that. I tried all of the things that I've shared. I tried changing the channel so that I did not dwell on it. And of course, it comes back, and I kept trying to change the channel. And sometimes I was successful and I felt better, and sometimes I was not. And then I got home at the end of the day and I just was like, so I'm happy to say that at least yesterday is over. And I'm hoping that today is a fresh day and that I will have a better experience today, um, wherever God places me in my workday. So, um, thank you for being here while I share that with you 12 minutes into our video. I will try to get started now on our reading, and we will pick up on Exodus 11 and 12 today. And if you, sorry, one more thing before I begin. Please always feel free to share those things with me that you are struggling with as well. And if you are connecting with me or you need more elaboration on something that I have shared, um, please always share that with me too. If you are connecting with me in something, it makes me feel like I'm not alone too. So, and I know that I'm not. We have these situations that are all very similar, not exactly the same, but are very similar, and we all go through them. And so that's why I'm really diligent to share these things, is so you can see how God is using them in my life uh, to prune me and to grow me, so that you can be encouraged and rather than discouraged. That you are perhaps not being disciplined, but just being pruned. And that can have a different perspective. And when we have a different perspective and we say, oh, okay, now I feel better. And that's what I'm looking for, is I'm looking for you to feel better, not convicted per se. I'm not trying to convict you of your sin or anything like that. I'm trying to encourage you so that you know you're not alone, that I go through the same things, and that is how, those are the things that God has shown me as I go through them, so that hopefully those things will be helpful to you in your life as you experience those things. All righty. Well, here we go. January 25th, Exodus 11 and 12. This is a very powerful set of chapters here, because we are going to be seeing, it says, getting ready for God to pass over. And so this is an amazing recount of what happened, what God did for his people as he finally takes them out of Egypt for good. Um, I'm going to read the previous paragraph because even though it's meant to be a next entry, they start with a but. And so that kind of gives the implication that you're supposed to remember what happened yesterday or what happened in the previous sentences. It says, the king called Moses and said, "Go worship God," he said. "You may even take the women and children, but leave your sheep and cows here. But we must take our sheep and cows with us, said Moses. "We'll have to use some of them to worship our God, and we won't know which ones until we get there." Now the king was angry and his heart was hard. He would not let them take their animals. So he said, "Get out of here. Don't let me see you again or you'll die." "All right," said Moses. "I won't come back." And then today we start. But God told Moses what would happen. "I'll send trouble to this land one more time. Then the king will send all my people away. Tell my people to go see their neighbors. Tell them to ask for silver and gold." So Moses told the king about it. God says he will go through Egypt. It will happen in the middle of the night. That's when the first son in each family will die. This will happen to the king. It will happen to the servants. It will even happen to the animals. The people of Egypt will cry out loud. They will cry louder than they have ever cried before. But no Jews will cry. Dogs won't even bark where the Jews are. Then you'll know that the Jews are God's people. You'll know He is taking care of them. Your leaders will bow to me, and they'll say, "To take the people and go." And that's when I'll leave. Moses was very angry. He turned and he left the king. God had told Moses that the king wouldn't listen. His heart was too hard. Then God told Moses and Aaron what to do. He said, "Call this the first month of the year. Tell everyone that the 10th day is special. On that day, each family should get a lamb to eat. But let's say a family is too small to eat a whole lamb, then they should share with a neighbor. Keep the lamb for 14 days. That night, kill the lamb. Paint some of its blood around the door. Paint it on the sides and on the top. That same night, cook the lamb meat. Make flat bread with no yeast in it. Don't eat meat raw and don't cook it in water. Cook it over a fire. Don't save any food. If there is some left, burn it. Here's how to eat it. Tuck your robe into your belt and wear your shoes. Hold your walking stick in your hand and eat in a hurry. It is God's Passover. I will pass over you on that night. That night I will go through Egypt. I will kill the first son of every family. It will even happen to the animals. This is because of the gods that Egypt worships. But the lamb's blood will be around your doors. I will see the blood. Then I will pass over your house. Nothing will hurt you. You should remember this time from now on. It will become a special holiday for God. Every year at this time, you'll eat flat bread and eat it for 7 days. You may cook your food, but don't do any other work. On this special day, eat inside your houses. And don't break any of the bones when you cook the lamb. So Moses called the leaders of God's people. He told them what God had said. Moses said, "Your children will ask you what this holiday means. Then you tell them that this is the time of Passover. It's when God saved us from Egypt." The leaders bowed down. They worshiped God, and then they did what Moses and Aaron told them. In the middle of the night, God went through Egypt. The first son of each family died. The first son of the king died. The first sons of the people in jail died. Even the first of the animals died. The people of Egypt woke up that night and they began to cry. Somebody in every house had died. That night the king called for Moses and Aaron. He said, "Get out, leave Egypt, and take your sheep and cows and all your people and pray for me." The people of Egypt told God's people to leave right away. Leave now, or all of us will die, they said. So God's people took the batter for their bread. It didn't have yeast in it. They put it in their bowls and wrapped a cloth around it, and they carried it on their shoulders. They also went to the people of Egypt, and they asked for silver and gold. God made the people of Egypt think well of his people, so they gave God's people whatever they wanted. And that night, God took his people out of Egypt. There were 600,000 men. They walked. And then there were women and children too. Other people went with them too, and they took their animals with them. They took batter with them so they could bake flatbread too. God's people had lived in Egypt for 430 years. But on that night, he took them out of Egypt. So every year the Jews are to remember that night, and they are to worship God for what he did. And that is the end of our story for today, of our entry. So if you are new to reading the Bible with us, then, and you are new in your faith, or you're just younger and you don't understand yet, this Passover lamb and the blood that was on the doors, this is what we call foreshadowing. And this is to prepare the Jewish people for when God would send us Jesus, because he became our Passover lamb. So the shape of the blood that was to be on the doors, first of all, it was a lamb, and they used a lamb for sacrifice for their sins, because lambs are innocent. And that is the animal that God chose. When you take a lamb to slaughter, they don't argue with you. They just go where you lead them. And that is what Jesus did. And he will be our Passover lamb. He was our Passover lamb in the future, our past, their future. And so that is what God does, is he saved his people, and he saves us with that blood. And God was very clear that none of the bones of the lamb are to be broken. And in the same way, none of Jesus's bones were broken either when he was our Passover lamb. So this is a very, very important part of the Bible that we read about in the Old Testament. And I guess there's not a whole lot else I can say on that. God saved his people, and that is how he saved us from our sins. So this is about all I have for us today. I'll leave you with that, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, and that you enjoy every bit of it. I will see everybody again tomorrow. If you are watching via YouTube, please kindly click the like button. I do like to see those little likes go up with those little thumbs up signs. And if you are watching on Zencaster, or listening via Zencaster or Spotify or on my site, thank you for being with me today. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's reading as we learn about the foreshadowing for Jesus, which won't happen for quite a while yet in the Bible, but there we have it. I will see everybody again tomorrow.